What's going on, Gen Pros family? Welcome. The live stream is here Monday, March 22nd, 2021. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Beeperman is out. He is dealing with some serious business. So it's going to just be me tonight, but I'll keep you company. Hopefully you guys keep me company too. Going to dive into a couple topics, just kind of talk about it for a little bit. As far as March Madness goes, still a lot of games underway, wrapping up the second round right now. And there's not games after today for a week. So we're kind of wrapping it up, and then there's going to be a little bit of a hiatus until we see the next round of games happen. So let's dive into March Madness. Let's talk about the games a little bit. So LSU is playing Michigan. Michigan is up 2 with 19 seconds left in the first half. Oregon beat number 2 seed Iowa today, which was a big win, big upset for them going into the third round. Really big win for the Ducks. Gonzaga beat Oklahoma today, 87-71, but they kind of suffered a pretty big deficit going into it. So they didn't really have much to show for early on, but they wound up sealing the win, winning by – let me do some mental math here. 87 minus 71, about, what is that, 16? Won by 16 points. UCLA also beat Abilene Christian by 20 points, 67-27. A couple games still to come later on tonight. We got Kansas and USC, and we got Maryland and Alabama. All the other games are underway, and we'll see what happens with those. Creighton is up on Ohio, 63-48 right now. Florida State, they just tipped off. They're up 9-5 against Colorado. So a lot of games to come still later tonight. A lot of games underway. So we'll see what happens coming into tonight and going into this week. But the story of the day is Buddy Boeheim. So the Syracuse Orange, they beat the West Virginia team 75-72. 75-72. And the story of the day is Buddy Boeheim. They were talking about this in the first take. Stephen A. and others were talking about how Buddy Boeheim has been the star of the Syracuse Orange as of late. People are saying Coach Boeheim is, committing nepotism, which is basically favoring somebody that's in your family to give them better benefits than other people may have by just trying to earn them outright by the old-fashioned way. And since Buddy Boeheim is Jim Boeheim's son, they're thinking that, okay, this has got to be nepotism, right? This has got to be something that is within the family, something that is, this shouldn't really be the case. So the thing is, Buddy Boeheim is the star of the team. So you really can't claim that, because he is showing out for the Syracuse Orange. He's doing everything he can to get them victories, to get them to, essentially the third round in the NCAA tournament, March Madness, the big dance. He's got that. He's got them to that level, and you really can't take those stats away from him. 25 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds, playing 37 out of the 40 minutes. Very impressive stuff. I'm really impressed with Buddy Boeheim and what he's been able to do for Syracuse this season. Honestly, they probably wouldn't even be in the tournament. They definitely wouldn't be going into the third round without Buddy Boeheim. So you got to be able to recognize real and give credit where credit's due. All right, credit it has to be given to Buddy Boeheim to the umpteenth degree, because he's really put this team on his shoulders and playing essentially the whole game, coming out maybe for a little breather. And regardless if he's Jim Boeheim's son or not, I think that's more or less irrelevant, because he's been able to perform. He's been able to show out on the court, do what he has to do, get his team victories, especially when they matter late in the season, like we are right now. So there's a lot of things to be said about Buddy Boeheim, and I'm very proud of what he's been able to do. And I think everybody watching March Madness should be able to be proud of that, and should be able to give credit where credit is due. Okay, very, very powerful stuff here. And I honestly, I talked about this in the live stream yesterday with Tony. I like Syracuse a lot. I like Jim Boeheim. I like what he's been able to do with this Syracuse team, especially, going 19. Well, they're 19-9 now, but I guess you can't take the other two games out, 17-9 before the first two rounds of the tournament. And they've really been able to perform. They've really been able to get the job done and get wins. And I think they can go as far as they want to go. And going into the third round, having a week off, going into it, where you have some practice, have some time to recoup, have some time to rejuvenate. There's a lot of power there. There's a lot of power there, and there's a lot of opportunity to get the job done with having this much time to go with the next round of games coming up in a week. I think the 27th is the next round of games when they start. So I'm looking forward to it. I had some people ask me, we'll go back to the March Madness banner. Had some people ask me, how do I feel about over-unders? One of those people being Joey Flames, he reached out to me today, kind of talking about, he gave me a bet slip of a bunch of over-unders for the games that happened today. And basically what I told him was, with all these games going on, it's really tough. Even in the regular season, even in the conference games, it's hard, it's tough to be able to call those conference games, whether they're over, under, regardless of what games they've played in the past, because you really can't compare those teams and those games to anything that happened in the past. That's happening now. March Madness, you're playing a lot of cross-conference contests where you have to kind of take individual teams into account, and you can't compare them to teams that they played in their conference play during their regular season. So basically what I told him was, I told him that I would stay away from over-unders personally going into March Madness, just because I can't call it. I can't, foresee what's going to happen. I really can't call any of these games over, under, in between, split, whatever you want to call it. I can't call it because I don't know. Vegas doesn't even know. They're having these games they're scoring, some of these teams like Oregon, they're scoring 95 points in a game. You're looking at 40 minutes. I mean, more likely than not, unless it's a blowout, these teams aren't breaking 80. And that's on a good game. You'll see some of these games, they're in the 50s, 60s. The majority of these games are actually in the 50s, 60s. Might crest into the 70s at some point, but more likely than not, they're not going too much higher than that. And you think about it, 40 minutes, it's less time than the NBA has with 12 minutes a quarter. That equates to 24 minutes a half. So you're looking at 48 minutes compared to 40 minutes. And that 8 minutes with fouls and everything like that, that's a large amount of time in a basketball game. So be careful betting over-unders in these games. I don't know if you guys checked out the Gin picks today, but Tony picked USC Kansas over 135. So you think about it, that's about anywhere from 72 to 72 and a half, 73-ish points per team. Actually, that's not quite that much. So it's about 67 and a half per team. So you're anticipating each team collectively to score obviously over 135. You guys know how over-unders work. But if you kind of split it up, be like, okay, 67 and a half. I think these teams can. I think they've been able to score that amount of points in previous games. Then you can make somewhat of a, analytic hypothesis, educated guess going into that. So 130, I'd say anywhere from 115 to 125 to even 130 is a solid range to pick overs in NCAA games, especially with some of these teams easily going into the 80s. Because that means regardless of what the other team scores, as long as they hit 60, you're going to break that and you're going to hit that over. Now, once you start getting into the 150s, 160s, then you're looking at trying to, take the under. So there's a little bit of a range there. You can kind of play that game. And we did this a lot of times with football and NFL picks that we did that strategy similar, not exactly the same. I think over 55, over 60, we try to take the under. And anything over 40, we like to take the over. So a little bit of a range there. You like to, kind of calculate everything. You got to see who's in, who's out, who's playing, who's not. You got to consider all these variables and bring them into the forefront because they're going to be very, very pivotal when you're making those picks. And basically by doing that, by betting with that strategy with over-unders, you're pretty much letting the teams decide whether that hits or not. And obviously you're going to say, okay, well, the teams have to decide it no matter what. No, you're actually setting yourself up with the best odds and the best, interest based on what happens, because teams could obviously overperform or underperform. And if you set yourself up right with that over under range where you either bet it or you don't, there's certain ranges too where I would call them trap ranges. We have a lot of games, a lot of teams that'll play each other with the spread given, even money line bets. They could easily go either way. Sometimes, there's different competitors that are more apt to give everyone a show compared to other players and competitors. So we'll call those games trap games. In this scenario with over-unders, I'd call those trap bets, trap over-unders. They can happen. They happen all the time. Okay, so be mindful of that and be wary of that when you're making over-under picks, especially during March Madness. If you're doing it, like I said earlier, I would stay away from it. Trust me, you guys have seen this already. Brackets are busted all over the place. It'd be hard enough to pick who's going to win the game outright money line. Then regardless of betting the spread, or especially regardless of betting the over-under, because you're just bringing too many variables into it, where in reality, we've seen so many upsets already, it's hard to really break that down to a science to even pick the winner of the game. So a lot of things to consider, especially betting during March Madness. Make sure you're careful about it. Obviously, it's going to, give you a little bit of a better perspective going into the third, fourth round, into the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four, final game, all that stuff. We're going to get a better idea based on how different teams have played cross-conference to see how they're going to play later in future rounds. So a lot of things to consider. Let's talk about the Corona Challenge for a little bit. So I want to talk to everybody about the Corona Challenge. If you didn't watch our live stream last night, find some time, go watch it. There's a lot of good information in there about the Corona Challenge, beer die tournament, all that stuff. But I'll touch on something that I might not have pounded home that last night that hard. I put it out in a post today. I think I put it out in a tweet, maybe a Facebook post. But we are closing the registration for the Corona Challenge on April the 17th. So that is less than a month away. Myself personally and Tony will be reaching out to all the past competitors of the Corona Challenge personally to make sure that everybody that played in the tournament last year has an opportunity to play in the tournament this year. It was a great success last year. Had a lot of great competitors. Great. Weather was, I guess, questionable, but it held up for us, especially being late in the year, late fall, October 25th. The weather can go either way around that time of year, as everybody knows. So having the weather that we did, I was really happy with what we had and what we were able to achieve with the short amount of time we had to prepare for the Corona Challenge and, prepare all the tournaments, get in touch with the Corona franchise of events. It was a really big process, and it took a lot of work, took a lot of manpower. So this year we're taking out the middleman by getting registrations in early, making a cutoff date. Once we get to our number, we are good to go. We just want to make sure everybody that wants to get into this event and wants to be a part of it, be a part of the legacy. This is the second annual Corona Challenge. Very big event, very big charity event for Flushing and for the Flushing Christian Outreach Center. So we're really excited about it. So we want to make sure everybody that is involved with Gin Pros, everybody that watches our stuff, everybody that, knows Tony or I personally, knows our families, that they have an opportunity to be a part of this tournament. It's two-man scramble format. Everybody keeps each other honest. It's a really, really basically simple event, two-man scramble. Most of you guys, if you've ever played in golf outings before, a lot of them are four-man scrambles where you're just playing with your group. Everybody's playing with each other. The difference between a four-man scramble and a two-man scramble is two things. One, you only have two shots from each shot. Two, you have the other team in your group to keep you honest as far as scores and strokes go. Rules and everything kind of have to follow suit, but the teams that are playing with each other in a foursome, so two teams in a foursome, 4 players total, they're expected to keep everybody honest as far as rules are concerned. So it should be pretty straightforward. We don't dive too deep into it when we're doing the announcements and doing all the introductions for the Corona Challenge. We didn't do it last year, and we're not going to do it this year. It's pretty obvious. It's very straightforward. If you played golf at all, if you ever played in a scramble format, you'll know what it's like. If not, that's what this video is for, is to give you a little bit of an informational scoop on how that process works. And if not, I'll probably give a speech the day of the tournament before everybody tees off and gets assigned to their holes. So listen to me when I say this. I want you guys to be a part of it. If you're watching the stream right now, if you're watching it later, please register. Please get involved. Time is of the essence. You have less than a month to register, and it's all for a good cause. So make sure you know that. Tell your friends about it and get the word out. We'd love to have you guys there. Other than that, I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you guys for tuning into the live stream tonight on a Monday, March 22nd, 2021. Thank you guys again for all the support you guys have gave us over the last few months. We've really appreciated it. We're lucky and we're happy to go into the summer months now with having more events, and the weather is starting to break. So we're really excited for all the events and all the things that are happening revolving around Gin Pros and everything that we have going on. So thank you guys for your support, and we're looking forward to your continued support. But I'll leave that at that. I'm your host, as always, John J. II. Look forward to Tony's Gin and Tonic coming tomorrow and mine coming Thursday, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.